Hey guys, how's it going? This is Chappie here at Intense, and for today's edition of Tech Tutorial Videos, we're going to go over how to convert your Tazer MX Pro or Expert to tubeless. So, just as we would remove the wheel any other time, we'll go ahead and loosen the pinch bolts on the front of our Öhlins fork on the Pro. Let's take a look at some of the included accessories that will help get us through this process. So you will receive 2 bottles of 100 ml sealant. You will also receive 2 tubeless valve stems that will take place of the valve stem from the tube. Go ahead and remove the valve stem cap. The locking nut goes off to the side, and then remove the air. Make sure you get as much air out of that tire as you can, and then while still holding the compression on that tire, go ahead, tighten that valve stem nut back up. So what that does is kind of create negative pressure within that tire. It helps the bead come off much easier. So let's flip it around with the rotor facing you. Using your fingertips, let's go ahead and just pull the bead off of the rim. For this, I typically like to start at the valve stem and then wrap ourselves around. Using a plastic tire lever, starting at the valve stem, simply pry and then rotate around. So all that we'll need to do is just one side of the tire, so let's keep that in mind. So once we get that one side unbeaded, starting at the valve stem or where the Maxxis logo is, pull that tire back. This will expose the tube above our valve stem. So let's pull that valve stem out, and then we can just simply remove that tube from the tire. Let's pull the tire back once again. This will expose our valve stem hole. Then you can also see our rim tape here as well. So this is important. We do not want to puncture this, as this is what creates the tubeless barrier from the air coming out of the spokes. So take good care in making sure we don't puncture that tape. Let's take our valve stem, insert it into where that valve stem hole was. Just press that down with your thumb. Then we'll follow that by taking our locking nut. Head and thread that into position. Now with a good amount of downward pressure with your thumb, press down on that valve stem and then use your fingers to tighten that locking nut. So that helps to ensure that there's a very good seal between the valve stem, the rim tape, and the rim. So at this stage, we can go ahead and put our sealant in. So it's really important. Shake that sealant up really, really good. And then from there, we'll just pour straight into the tire. Now each wheel will require 1 bottle. So I typically like to start at the bottom, opposing our valve stem. So right where we put that sealant, and go ahead, set that tire bead back over. And then just working each side up with your thumbs. Now as long as we keep that tire into the channel of that rim, there should be no problem doing this by hand, just like that. If you have a compressor, by all means use it. It definitely is a bit faster. All right, so at this stage, we've gotten to 20 PSI. So this is a good pressure to just make sure that the tire is properly seated, that there's no bulging happening. That ensures that as we increase pressure, we're safe. Lock that valve stem back down. Let's take the tire from both sides, and we're going to be basically bouncing it off those side knobs. All right, so what's happening there is as we hit that tire on the ground, that sealant is swirling in the tire. So it's allowing that sealant to contact the bead and penetrate any spots that potentially might let air out. Once we're at this point, we can go ahead and reinstall the wheel into the bike, and we'll move on to the rear wheel. Drop your chain down into the smallest gear on that cassette. Remove all the air. Just as we did on the front, insert into the valve stem, then applying downward pressure with our thumb, installing the valve stem lock nut. So let's make sure Our cassette is facing out. And we'll go ahead and bounce the tire the same exact way as we did the front. We've successfully completed our tubeless conversion on our Tazer MX Pro, and this is also applicable in the same exact fashion on our Tazer MX Expert. If you have any questions with this process or how it can be done, or you need any additional help, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than willing to help in any way we can. Thanks for choosing Intense.